Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith, and Shalom to all the sincere believers. Now, this lesson is going to be primarily, based on what's going to be happening in particular to these wicked people in these last days. So through the Spirit, I'm gonna, get some precepts, get some definitions, and Lord's will, you're edified. So James 4:9, be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. And people are already experiencing that. Jake, the Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have already been experiencing it for like the past 500 plus years. And now these heathens and even these Edomites, these so-called white people, are starting to experience it. Now these Edomites are getting gunned down by these ICE agents. Now these Edomites are having a hard time finding a job. Now they can't pay their bills. We already know as far as like school shootings are concerned, Esau is the number one perpetrator of that, And it's usually these Slovakia. It's these Edomite schools that be getting shot up by these Edomite men. These Edomites, they're getting exposed more for being pedophiles, messing around with children. Like there's just so much going on. Like the price of gas, the price of groceries, the cost of living in general is just increasing, putting more pressure on people. And people think that if things are bad right now, things are going to get a lot worse. There's going to come a time where the power goes out and it never comes back on. There's going to come a point where gas is so expensive, people can't afford it. Like nobody will be able to afford it. Same with the grocery prices. And when that happens, people are going to run up in these stores and start looting. People are going to be fighting each other over food, running up in each other's house, killing each other. Things are about to get so much more serious. And like I said, we already see it. There's a lot of people out here mourning and weeping about the cost of living. The fact that they have to work multiple jobs and that's still not enough. The fact that people can't even afford to take a vacation because they need those hours to make money to pay their bills. So it's like everybody's, on that edge right now. And very soon the Lord is going to push them over it. The Lord is going to put them through so much that they're just going to snap. And that's when the riots, the civil wars, the race wars, the food riots, all of that is going to take place. So I have the definition of afflicted here. It says afflicted refers to someone or something severely troubled, distressed, or impaired by physical disease, mental anguish, or less commonly, external misfortune. And that's basically what majority of people here in America are experiencing. And not just in America, throughout the world, people are distressed. They are daily experiencing mental anguish, and it's just going to get worse. They're going to become more distressed. They're going to experience more mental anguish. It says it frequently implies long-term or intense suffering. And that's what these people are going to continue to experience: long-term and intense suffering. And it's going to get to the point where people, drinking isn't going to help. Doing drugs isn't going to help. And these people, they're just going to just take to the streets. And they're going to start rioting, killing, kidnapping, raping, just doing all sorts of things. That is the time and season that we are in. It says synonyms: distressed, stricken, troubled, suffering, tormented, impaired, grieved, and vexed. And this is what more and more people are going to experience. And they're going to experience it on a larger scale. It says situational, used to describe being plagued by problems or negative circumstances. And people are definitely plagued by negative circumstances. You see, even those of us of the hopeful elect are plagued by negative circumstances. The difference is that we understand why. These are the curses. This is what our people have to go through because we angered the Lord. We provoked the Lord unto wrath, and this is our punishment. But see, our punishment is almost up. These heathens, and especially these Edomites, their punishment is just beginning. And also, these 2/3, they have to suffer for their wickedness, since they want to be joined unto these heathens and unto Esau, and continue to provoke the Heavenly Father unto wrath. Second Ezra 8:50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. And Esau, the so-called white man here in the West, he's just going to use more oppressive measures on the people. See, the Lord is using Esau to push people to the brink of civil war and race wars and all-out calamity. There's that old saying, desperate times call for desperate measures. And people are getting very close to having to resort to those desperate measures. Like, there's a lot of people out here who don't want to, start looting. They don't want to kill anybody. They don't want to basically turn into an animal, become incredibly uncivilized. They don't want to do that. But there really is getting to the point where there is no alternative for them. These people, they don't trust in the Lord. They don't trust that the Lord is going to provide for them and protect them. So push comes to shove, and these people, they're going to take matters into their own hands. They're going to grab their guns or whatever weapons they have, and they're going to go out and try to get whatever it is that they need, whether it's gas, whether it's fuel, whether they want to run up in these stores and steal food and water, whether these roving gangs of men are going to want, to take these women and have their way with them. It's going to get to that point. Those of us of the hopeful elect, and even some of these people in the world can see that that's the direction this is going in. And there is no stopping it, because this is the judgment of the Lord upon these wicked people. They have to suffer. Have the definition of misery here. It says misery defines a state of extreme physical or mental suffering, unhappiness, or distress caused by pain, poverty, or misfortune. And majority of people in the world are experiencing this to varying degrees. They're experiencing physical and mental suffering, unhappiness, and distress. Their poor living conditions. It says it represents intense discomfort or wretchedness, often stemming from poor living conditions, grief, or in British English, a person who is habitually unhappy. And more people are just unhappy, and no matter what they do, things just don't seem to be getting better for them. It says unhappiness. It sounds like your symptoms of misery, unhappiness, wretchedness, woe, distress, sorrow, anguish, agony, torment, heartbreak, hardship, adversity, suffering, squalor, privation, need, poverty, discomfort, pain, ache, affliction. And that is exactly what people are experiencing. Like I said, people can't catch a break here. Grocery prices are increasing. The cost of living is increasing. And these jobs, they're not paying people enough to keep up with it. The weather is just getting crazier and crazier. You have these ICE agents running around, kidnapping people and unaliving people, murdering people in the streets. It's like people are scared. People are sad. People are distressed. People are emotional. And what they don't even understand is that it's about to get a whole lot worse. This is nowhere near as bad as things are going to get. But see, those of us of the hopeful elect, we have the comfort of the scriptures. These scriptures comfort us and let us know that, all of these things have to happen. If we want the kingdom of heaven to be established, all hell has to break loose here first. And not just here, but all over the world. And all of these things have to happen because the Lord is angry with these wicked people. Psalm 7 and 11. Yahweh judgeth the righteous, and Yahweh is angry with the wicked every day. And because the Lord is angry with these wicked people every day, he's going to continue to pour out his wrath upon them in many different ways. Via the weather, via, financially, emotionally, physically, mentally. The Lord is going to continue to put these wicked people through the ringer because they're just constantly provoking him unto wrath. Because these people, they don't fear the Lord. And that lack of fear has them out here being all types of wicked because they don't fear the consequences of what they're doing. A lot of people don't believe that there are any consequences. A lot of people think that they're just going to do a whole bunch of wickedness throughout their life, and then, one day they're just going to die and that'll be the end of that. Or, they'll just ride off into the sunset. They have no idea that the Lord has a great judgment in store for them, full of miseries and calamities and afflictions and sorrows. These last days are going to be incredibly miserable for these wicked people. They are about to reap what they have sown in a way that they can't even fathom. And see, the men of the Lord, starting of course with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, have been warning people for decades that, these times were going to come. And now it's playing out right before our eyes. But see, those of us of the hopeful elect, we're not tripping off of it because we have faith in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. We have faith that as long as we continue to stay locked into these scriptures, we stay prayed up, we continue to do righteous acts in the eyes of the Lord, that the Lord is going to protect us. He's going to preserve us in these times of peril, in these times of affliction and great miseries, in this time of judgment. And that is something that, like I said, these wicked people do not have. They don't have any hedge of protection. They don't have anything that's going to keep them stable and comforted as things progressively get worse. First Peter 3:12, for the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers. But the face of the Lord is against them that do evil. And that's right. The face of the Lord is against these evil, wicked people. So when all hell breaks loose and these people are crying out for someone to help them, the Lord, he's not gonna help them. Even in the scriptures, it says he's going to laugh at their calamity. Because it's all fun and games until the Lord starts pouring out his wrath. These people want to say blasphemous things about the Lord. They want to scoff and scorn at the men of the Lord. They don't want to heed the warnings of the men of the Lord. But then when all hell breaks loose and there's roving gangs wiping people out, women are getting kidnapped and, abused, let's say, when that starts happening, then people are going to want to take this seriously. But at that point, it's going to be too late. The floodgates of judgment will have been fully opened, and all hell is going to break loose upon these wicked ass people. These wicked men, these wicked women, and these wicked children are going to receive severe sore strokes from the Lord. And it's just going to be continuous judgment. Like, there's not going to be anywhere to run. There's not going to be anywhere to hide. These wicked people, they're not going to be able to escape. They got to pay for what they've done. And like I said earlier, this applies to the 2/3 of our people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, primarily. These heathens and these Edomites. All of these wicked people, they have to get judged. They have to be punished. And be punished they will. The Lord is not playing. The Lord was never playing with these people. The Lord has just been letting these wicked people dig their own grave, so to speak. And now the Lord is going to put these people down. And it's going to be a beautiful thing to see but it's also going to be terrifying because it's really going to show the power of the Lord. People are going to fear the Lord in those days. And those days are fastly approaching. And there is no carnal method that's going to get these people out of what the Lord is about to place them in. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash, the Wadi Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, for putting His Spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently pushing the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere believers. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up. Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, Shalom.